what I have seen in the TV or other media, according to that, schools should be started. I heard. If that is the case, definitely I am the happiest man. Really, I am I feel sympathetic towards that girls.
तो लड़की लोग ने इतना अच्छा से ओपनली बोला है, अगर ये ड्रेस ये हम लोग ने नहीं पहना तो, ये बुर्का ये सब हम लोग ने नहीं पहना तो हम लोग को स्कूल को नहीं हमारा दादी माँ भेजेगी, फिर हमारा एजुकेशन स्टॉप हो जाएगा। तो ये पहन के जाने से ही हम लोग को अलाउड किया है कि हम लोग पढ़ सकेगा।
Hello everyone, you're watching News Epicenter with me, Maria Shakil. There was no relief today to the petitioners in the hijab case, with the Karnataka High Court in fact adjourning the hearing till February 14th. Meanwhile, in the interim, the court has ordered the students to not wear any cloth in terms of hijab or saffron shawls, which can instigate people till the matter is resolved. In what clearly was a high voltage argument and counter argument in the court, with the Advocate General in fact arguing for restoring status quo, as the priority of the state is to reopen the institutions, but it cannot start with one set of students coming with headscarves, another set of students with saffron shawls. Arguing for the petitioners, Advocate Devdutt Kamath challenged the government's order, saying that headscarf is an essential part of the religion and is a fundamental right under Article 25. Advocate Sanjay Hegde, who was appearing for the Udupi girl students, referred to the Kerala High Court judgment which held hijab is an essential religious practice. Hegde told the court that even after a meeting with college authorities, petitioners were not allowed to attend classrooms, were made to sit outside the college, and the students are seeking their right to education. At the core of this dispute is the clash between the state-mandated restrictions on religious attire in educational institutions on the ground of maintaining public order and uniformity, and the constitutional rights of individuals to freely exercise their religious beliefs and free speech and expression. The contentious subject ensues a legal question whether the right to wear a hijab is constitutionally protected as an essential religious practice or not. The Karnataka government maintains that hijab is not an essential religious practice in Islam, and that even otherwise the state is constitutionally empowered to issue prohibitory orders to impose reasonable restriction to the exercise of fundamental rights. Those protesting against the ban maintain that hijab is an integral part of Islam, and the ban is an invasion into their religious freedom. The debate involves intricate questions of how the Constitution of India protects religious freedom and the state's right to impose restrictions on the exercise of right. So, on News Epicenter this evening, we debate that is this now about identity versus uniformity, and is hijab really an identity of a Muslim woman in 21st century? Joining me on the show, Sujata Pandey is an activist, Fatima Shireen is National Committee member of Campus Front of India, Geeta Luthra, senior advocate, Yukti Rathi is a lawyer and activist, Amina Sherwani is a women's rights activist. I'm going to begin with you, Geeta Luthra. How is an institution wrong in enforcing its rules? Come in on this. Yukti, take that question. The Karnataka government maintains that hijab is not an essential religious practice in Islam, and that even otherwise the state is empowered to issue prohibitory orders to impose reasonable restrictions. We know that with all fundamental right, there are restrictions as well.
Yes, I appreciate today order of Chief Justice of Karnataka, in which he has specifically said that no student should insist on wearing religious dress until the next order. और ये ऑर्डर कोई पहली बार नहीं आया है। केरला हाई कोर्ट ने 2018 में भी ऑर्डर, 2015 में भी ऑर्डर पास किया गया है। 2018 में केरला हाई कोर्ट ने ऑलरेडी कहा हुआ है कि इंस्टीट्यूशनल कलेक्टिव राइट्स वुड टेक प्रेसिडेंस ओवर द पिटिशनर इंडिविजुअल राइट।
Yes.
Justice held that petitioner cannot seek the imposition of their individual right as against the larger right of the institution. सो इस प्रैक्टिस को अब हमें बंद ही करना चाहिए, क्योंकि एज अ वुमेन हम सब पैनल पे जो भी हैं सब वुमेन हैं, तो वी हैव टू सी टुवर्ड्स द चेंज. हिजाब ये कोई चॉइस नहीं है, जैसे सारी वुमेन मुस्लिम ज्यादातर वुमेन बाहर आ रही हैं और बोल रही हैं दिस इज माय चॉइस. हिजाब, बुरखा, पर्दा ये कोई चॉइस नहीं है.
I think that should be left. No. You cannot sit in judgment of what is choice and what is not a choice. Here is Fatima. Let her answer that question. Fatima, now that the court has said that you cannot wear a hijab, neither can saffron shawls be worn to school and college, what will you be doing?
See, actually, this is not the final judgment. However, we are very disappointed in this judgment. But we are hopeful that according to the provisions of this constitution, we will be ensured our rights. We are hopeful. And as for that question, whether it is my choice or not, I clearly can say that this is my choice. This is how I came all this way, and all these years, I did this purposefully, knowing what I chose, knowing what I am doing. So you cannot say that this is not my choice.
But education, the emphasis here should be on education, Amina. We are looking at the school admission rate and also the literacy rate among the Muslims in India, particularly women. The focus should be on ensuring that they leave their homes and come to schools, come to colleges for education. Amina.
Absolutely, and this is, Maria, not you and me saying it today. This is the Quran saying it 1500 years ago. The first word of the Quran is not jihad, it's not hijab, it's nothing, it is Iqra, which means to read. So I would like to tell Fatima, who's a beautiful young girl here, please go to your college. Your most important job, your most important Islamic duty, your most important constitutional duty is to be as educated as you possibly can be. The hijab does not even exist in the Quran. The word hijab means a curtain. The word hijab means a screen. So the hijab is not a garment to be worn on our heads or on our bodies. First, the nomenclature is also wrong. हिजाब एक पर्दे, एक दीवार, एक स्क्रीन को कहते हैं. हम औरतें पर्दे, दीवार और स्क्रीन तो पहन नहीं सकते. तो जो हम अपने सर पे पहन रहे हैं वो हिजाब नहीं है. हिजाब जैसा शब्द औरतों के कपड़ों के लिए यूज ही नहीं किया गया है कुरान शरीफ में. फातिमा, मैंने पूरा कुरान पढ़ा है और तुम भी पढ़ो उसको. बाहर के लोग हम लोग को गलत गलत बातें बताते हैं. कुरान शरीफ पढ़ोगी तो तुम्हें समझ, यू विल अंडरस्टैंड दैट योर ड्यूटी इज टू योर एजुकेशन. Please go to your college. Your duty is also to fight even your parents if they don't permit you to go to college and school. It is your Islamic duty to even fight with your parents. After all, we fight with our parents when we fall in love with a boy. We fight with our parents on so many issues. Why can we not fight on the issues of these superstitious false beliefs?
Exactly. Fatima, you know, it is about education, and now that the court has said that till final order, in the interim, all of you must shed the hijab and go to educational institution. Will you all be respecting that order?
First thing I want to tell you is I am a student pursuing my post-graduation from a university. Okay, and the next question is, the court is telling us to go to the college without wearing our hijab. Of course, this is disappointing, but we can. In this situation, we are being forced to choose between our education and our religious freedom.
1400 years ago, the Quran has already told you not to wear hijab and cover yourself in any way in this manner. A woman is strong. A woman is fearless. A woman does not have to hide behind garments like this.
I am not.
The Quran is telling you. The Quran is telling you. I am not telling you. Read the Quran. The Quran is telling you to be bold, to be fearless.
I am being bold. I am being fearless. That is why I am here.
You are not eye candy for men.
How can hijab be your identity, Fatima?
Individual. The Quran is telling you this.
Yes. Can your identity be restricted to a headscarf?
Yeah, of course. As for a Muslim,
not.
I am, according to my belief and my conscience, wearing my headscarf. that is considered my as part of my religion. If you are telling that I shouldn't be doing that, you are denying my right
Fatima, our religion
my
is
right to
based on the
practice.
Quran. Please
Yes.
quote the
It
verse
is
of the
our
Quran.
religion here,
Please quote
and
the
I
verse
agree
of the
with
Quran
Amina
that tells you
here.
to wear a hijab.
Yes, it is about, let's understand Islam. Both of us have read Quran. That is the reason why we are saying
I
it.
believe this is
It's
not
not
a session
that
of
Amina hasn't.
teaching
It's
Quran,
not
but this
everybody
is
is
a
against
session
Muslim
discussing
women here.
about our constitutional rights.
No, don't bring constitutional right here, because constitutional right come with restrictions as well. Then in that
Maria,
case, the
let me
state is
correct
right in
our
imposing
constitution.
restrictions.
Then, please let me
Our
complete.
constitution
According to the article,
discourages parda. Our constitution discourages parda. It does not encourage or protect parda of women. The constitution discourages and says parda is a
where does
bad
this
thing. Women have to
constitution
get out
prevent
of
girls
parda.
from wearing parda?
Let me bring Geeta Luthra now. Ma'am, thank you so much for your time.
it
You are
does.
listening to this debate. It's been playing out in the Karnataka High Court, for the last few days. And of course, the Constitution bench today gave an interim order. We are listening to rather very emotive and, very charged response coming in from the girl students here. When in the triple talaq judgment, would you say that the court has gone into that permissibility space already with regards to rituals and practices of Islam, and that is the reason why they have that scope open about defining what is allowed, what is not allowed?
So I think it started with the Shah Banu judgment, where the Supreme Court, speaking through Senior Justice Chandrachud, spoke about practices and then spoke about how women have to be given a space so that they have a right of maintenance, despite the Waqf Acts, and despite this, that they have to be only paid in the Iddat period. But I think we have to take this debate to a slightly higher level and look at what is secular, and look at the fact that we are talking, we shouldn't be talking in emotive terms, although religious practices is a realm which the Supreme Court has gone into,
Yes,
and said it has to protect religious practices. Now, this really increases the scope that on one side, you're talking about equality, on one side, you're talking about right to education, you're talking about inclusiveness, you are talking about non-discrimination and actually facelessness of education to be secular. On the other hand, the question is, to what extent is the headscarf part of a religious practice, and to what extent can a school say, a private school say, that look, I will dictate a uniform, and that uniform will be what everyone will follow, whether it is of any religious flavor. And this would be across the board.
yes.
Now, I can draw this debate from, say, if I take the UK, or I take the European Union, or I take France. I would take France as one of the lead examples, where in 2004, it said that any kind of religious garment, any kind of religious overtone will not be permitted, whether it be turbans, whether it be scarves, whatever it may be. For working people in Quebec, if I am not mistaken, in one of the Canadian provinces, they've said that they will not permit any kind of religious overtones when a person is working as a civil servant.
So in this particular case, so because we are looking at should religious practices or practicing of your faith stop at the gates of religious of institutions, because if institutions have certain rules, they are also protected by the constitution, and hence they should be allowed to enforce those rules.
So you know, maybe I have a more layman outlook to it rather than a lawyer's outlook. I would say schools, perhaps it should be
Ma'am, just hold on to your
uniformity.
thoughts. The Chief Minister of Karnataka is speaking on this issue. Let's listen in.
ನಾಳೆ ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಸಚಿವರು ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ 5 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಕಾನ್ಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಡಿ.ಸಿ.ಗಳು, ಎಸ್.ಪಿಗಳು, ಡಿ.ಡಿ.ಪಿ.ಐ ಮತ್ತು ಜೆಡ್.ಪಿ.ಸಿ ಒಳಗೊಂಡಂಥ ಒಂದು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಕಾನ್ಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಒಂದು ಅಲ್ಲಿರುವಂಥ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿರುವಂಥ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಏನಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಪಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೆಲವು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಕೊಡೋದಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ನಿರಂತರವಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು, ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು, ನಾವು ಗೃಹ ಸಚಿವರು ನಿರಂತರವಾಗಿ ಸಂಪರ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿರ್ತೀವಿ ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಿರಿಯ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಎಲ್ಲ ಜಿಲ್ಲಾ ಮತ್ತು ತಾಲೂಕು ಮಟ್ಟದ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಸಂಪರ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಸೂಚನೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ನವರು ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆನೇ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಕಾನ್ಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಹೋಮ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್.
Well, that's the Chief Minister of Karnataka after meeting the Education Minister, the Home Minister, the DGP and others, making it very clear that the Karnataka government has now decided to reopen schools from class 1 to class 10 from Monday. Looks like the government has decided to reopen educational institutions in a staggered manner.
ಅದನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಸಮಯ ಬಂದಾಗ. ನಾನು ಏನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಫೇಸ್ 10th ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಸೋಮವಾರ ಓಪನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮುಂದಿನ ಪ್ರಕಟಣೆಗೆ ಕಾಯಿರಿ.
Okay, the Chief Minister saying that that's the decision right now. They will decide on reopening colleges in the due course.
SDM, ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸು, ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸು, ಟೀಚರ್ಸು, ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಾಲು ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ನಿರಂತರವಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಿರಿಯ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳ ಸಂಪರ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿರ್ತೇವೆ. ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸವನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅಹಿತರ ಘಟನೆ ಆಗದಂತೆ
So what exactly has the Chief Minister said? Harish, explain to us, when are the schools reopening?
Well, from Monday, classes 1 to class 10 will resume. That's the decision of the state government right now. The government has decided to open educational institutions in a staggered manner, which looks like seems to be the strategy now. From Monday, you will have schools reopening. The government will decide on reopening colleges in the due course, looking at how things pan out and what gets decided in the court. This is something that we had earlier informed our viewers as well, that the government wanted to open schools first because they believe that's one area where they haven't witnessed trouble, and high school students are unlikely to get into any sort of a chaos or ruckus. The problem was with colleges. So probably the government buying more time before they decide to open the colleges and degree colleges.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me bring Sujata now. Sujata, the whole purpose of that order that was issued by the Karnataka government was to ensure that there is no law and order situation. But instead, this has led to this kind of chaos on ground. Yukti, answer that question.
So focus on education. किताब पे ज़्यादा ध्यान देना चाहिए और हिसाब में कम. और कर्नाटका गवर्नमेंट को भी अभी टाइम चाहिए और ऑलरेडी इंटरिम ऑर्डर आ चुका है, तो हमें इंटरिम ऑर्डर को अभी फॉलो करना चाहिए, कोई जो अभी पेंडिंग है. और मैं ये कहना चाहूँगी, और कंट्रीज, फ्रांस में ऑलरेडी बैन हो चुका है हिजाब. इंडोनेशिया में भी पब्लिक स्कूल में हिजाब बैन है. कंपलसरी है कि वहाँ पे कंपलसरी नहीं है कि हिजाब को पहना चाहे. फॉर मुस्लिम वुमेन इन फ्रांस who play sports professionally, there is also a trouble. So in other countries, there is also a ban on hijab. And अगर हम देखें अफगानिस्तान,
Sujata,
पाकिस्तान,
if the girls
ईरान
are saying that they have been wearing hijab all these years, if anything, there's a provocation that has come from the other side. That is one aspect that has been presented by the pro-hijab councils and the lawyers before the court as well. Sujata, if you can hear me.
Yes, yes. Sorry. So, yes, Maya, I agree with you, but before, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, before we go into and diverge into what has happened, I've been hearing all the panelists that whether the Hijab central to not, central or not, or whether it should be permissible in the schools, colleges, and all the education institutions. I mean, one can't really, I mean, I saw it on your panel itself, when you view the entire chronology of the events, that how this hijab and how quickly what became as a niqab and burqa controversy. One can't even, ignore the fact that it is very well politically motivated, because people of HTR, TFI, the student wing of the PFI is involved, and how these students who had no problem at all in 2021 adhering to the undertaking that they had signed with the institution, and now have become completely radicalized. It just doesn't happen like that.
Okay, Fatima, tell me, this is the charge that is being coming against you repeatedly, and all those who are wearing the hijab and burqa, that all of you wore uniforms till very recently, and then all of a sudden you changed your appearance.
See, until January 3rd, the students of Kundapura University was wearing their hijab into the classes. And also, Campus Front of India never approached students there and asked to them evoke any problems or protests. It was the students who were telling that their rights are violated, and of course, being a responsible or a committed student movement, when a student claims that their rights are being violated, student movements are supposed to involve in it. And likewise, we give solidarity to those students. Other than that, these allegations are reckless, they are nonsense. And also, why are you always looking at this point also?
Okay.
See,
Geeta Luthra, what will you be telling her?
What?
Geeta Luthra, what will you tell Fatima?
Well, see, the fact is that, there are two sides to this coin. You do allow people to wear turbans. About 1 year ago, this law came into force in this college, in this school, in this institution, by saying, and no one objected. So one of the aspects will be that, you are looking at inclusiveness, homogeneity, and you are trying to, the reason you have a uniform in school as compared to colleges is you want no child to feel not included. Whatever religious practice they may follow, whether they may be Jewish, they may be Sikhs, they may be Hindus, they may be Christians, they may be Muslims. Now, the other argument is, look, as long as it doesn't cover my face, it's not really harming anybody if it's in the color of the uniform. So there are two arguments being made.
Yes.
And both arguments do have some weight. Only thing is, we have the precedent of the West and perhaps even many other countries where hijab is being banned.
Yes.
We have a precedent of India where for the exam, a Supreme Court judgment by Justice Dattu said that not wearing the hijab when you go for an exam, because they want to look at your facial recognition. And today's day, facial recognition has become an important
Absolutely.
mode. We'll have to balance all these factors.
Yes, multiple aspects are at play here, and that is the reason why.
One other worry, that girls should not be coming into some kind of trap. Today you are saying wear a hijab. Of course, if it's their choice, it is their autonomy. But tomorrow you don't want to tell them burqa is your right.
Absolutely. I think that identity again, Fatima, becomes a question. And Amina, come in here. Geeta Luthra brought in very important aspect of identity. How can that be an identity?
Very dangerous
I believe that question that
Maria, I have seen.
Yes, Fatima, you respond to that and then I bring it up.
Maria, I have seen.
Yes.
So can I?
Yes,
Can
Fatima.
please?
Go ahead.
Maria.
One
Maria,
point
have
I want to
seen
tell
that-
you is,
Hmm.
you say that earlier some people was yelling at me to get education. Why? Because by getting education, we believe that we will be aware of our rights. See, according to Article 15, these girls are getting education and they are being aware of their rights. According to Article 25, you cannot interfere in one's conscience or religious freedom until it makes any problems, until and unless.
No, but
it
how
makes
is
any
religious
disruptions
freedom?
in the public.
Why should religious freedom apply in an institution? An institution is
Yeah,
not about
I
segregation.
am
The purpose
coming-
of education is to ensure that you are part of the larger crowd and you are there, you're learning. Amina, how do you reform it? Because the voices of reforms has to come from within.
I am sure.
Please let me complete.
I'm
Amina.
shocked, Maria.
Amina.
For 5 generations, my family, the women of my family and the men of my family, for 5 generations or 6 generations, have fought against the parda. All of us unitedly, Hindus
Yes.
and Muslims, fought against the parda. I cannot believe how 18, 20-year-old girls today are saying this parda,
You fought
which is
against the
detrimental
parda
to
because
women,
that
is
was
their
your
identity.
decision, your
And
conscience.
secondly,
This is my
they are
conscience.
blaming
How can
the
you question
Quran,
this?
which is such a modern document. The Quran is such a modern document. They are making the Quran into a regressive document by saying that the Quran tells them to wear these nonsensical garbs. No, the Quran tells you to be brave, beautiful, free, fearless. It does not tell you to cover yourself with pardas like this. You're not dirty, you're not filthy. Men will not have lascivious thoughts about you. If you're a tough, strong, gutsy girl, no man will have lascivious thoughts about you.
All right.
Hiding behind a hijab has never saved a woman.
All
and
right.
it never will save
Amina,
a woman.
always a
And the
pleasure to have you on
Quran
my
says
shows.
so.
Thank you so much.
The
Yukti,
Quran-
Geeta Luthra, Fatima and Sujata. Of course, this is a debate that will be continuing, a debate which is happening also within the Muslim community. How can hijab really be the definition of a woman's identity? And the question is also of whether they should continue to wear it and practice it perhaps outside the institution and follow the rules and regulation of an institution where they go to pursue knowledge, seek knowledge, and perhaps make a better future. That's all from me. Thanks so much for watching.